Have you ever noticed that almost every family has a golden child? The one who can do absolutely no wrong, even if they are standing there holding a lit match while the house burns down to the ground. In my family, that golden child was my younger sister, Chloe. And I? Well, I was just the invisible ATM she used to fund her delusions. My name is Maya. I am 29 years old, and for the last 6 years, I have worked 70-hour weeks as a corporate financial auditor. I didn't take vacations. I didn't buy designer clothes. I drove a 10-year-old car that made a weird rattling noise every time I turned left. I sacrificed everything because I had one single goal. I was saving up to buy my own house in cash. By the time this nightmare started, I had exactly $92,000 sitting in a high yield savings account. It was my blood, sweat, and tears in digital form. Chloe, on the other hand, was 24, had never held a job for more than 3 months, and still lived with our parents. She spent her days watching luxury lifestyle videos and complaining that she wasn't born into royalty. So when Chloe got engaged to a guy named Ryan who was equally broke and lazy, our parents threw a massive engagement party. At the dinner table, Chloe stood up and announced that she was going to have a luxury destination style wedding at a historic country club. She wanted imported orchids, a designer dress, an ice sculpture, and a five-course plated dinner for 200 guests. My dad politely cleared his throat and told her that he and mom could only contribute about $5,000. Chloe threw a massive tantrum. She screamed, cried, and locked herself in the bathroom. My parents spent the whole night begging her to come out. I just rolled my eyes and went home. I figured she would eventually face reality. I was so incredibly wrong. 3 months later, I was sitting at my desk at work doing my routine monthly budget check. I logged into my banking portal. My heart completely stopped beating. My savings account, which was supposed to have $92,000, showed a balance of exactly $412. I stopped breathing. The rune started spinning. I frantically clicked on the transaction history, my hands shaking so violently I could barely hold the mouse. There was a $25,000 wire transfer to a luxury country club. There was a $15,000 payment to a high-end bridal boutique, 8,000 to a premium catering company, 12,000 to a celebrity floral designer. Someone was using my life savings to pay for a wedding. I grabbed my car keys and drove straight to my bank. I sat in the branch manager's office, crying and hyperventilating. I told him my identity had been stolen. The manager immediately pulled up the wire transfer authorizations. Ma'am, the manager said gently, looking at the screen, these transfers were authorized over the phone. The caller provided your full social security number, your mother's maiden name, your account number, and your exact banking PIN. Whoever did this had unrestricted access to your most private personal documents. I drove straight to my parents' house. I didn't knock. I kicked the front door open. My mom and dad were sitting in the living room drinking tea. Chloe was on the sofa, flipping through a bridal magazine. Where is my money? I screamed, my voice echoing off the walls. Chloe didn't even look up from her magazine. She just flipped a page and smiled. My mom immediately stood up, waving her hands nervously. Maya, honey, please calm down, my mom said. We were going to tell you, we didn't know how. Ugh, I felt physically sick to my stomach. Tell me what? That you let her rob me? My dad sighed heavily. Listen, your sister was so depressed about her wedding budget, she wasn't eating. We found an old bank statement of yours in the mail and we saw how much you had saved up. You're just sitting on that money, Maya. You aren't even using it. We gave Chloe your details so she could have her special day. We will pay you back eventually, I promise. I stared at them. My own parents. They stole my financial identity, drained my life savings, and gave it to my sister for a party, and they expected me to just accept it. I am calling the police, I whispered, pulling my phone out of my pocket. Suddenly, Chloe slammed her magazine down and glared at me. Don't you dare ruin my wedding, Maya. You are so selfish. You can always save up more money. But I only get married once. If you call the cops, mom and dad will go to jail for giving me the documents. Do you really want to put your own parents in prison over some stupid money? My mom started crying, begging me to be the bigger person. My dad told me that family means making sacrifices. They were emotionally blackmailing me to protect their golden child. Fine, I said, putting my phone away. I won't call the police today. Chloe smiled her nasty, smug little smile. Thank you. Now I need you to come to my dress fitting tomorrow. You are my maid of honor after all. I nodded. I walked out of their house, got into my car, and immediately drove to the federal police headquarters. Hmm. You see, I am a financial auditor. I know the law. What my sister did wasn't just a simple theft. By executing wire transfers across state lines to pay her vendors, she committed multiple counts of federal wire fraud, grand larceny, and aggravated identity theft. I sat down with a financial crimes investigator and handed over everything: the bank statements, the vendor names, everything. The investigator looked at me and asked if I wanted them to arrest her immediately. No, I said, looking him dead in the eye. If you arrest her now, she will try to cancel the contracts and hide whatever money is left. Let her spend it. Let the contracts become completely finalized. Arrest her on her wedding day. The investigator smiled. For the next 4 months, I played the perfect, supportive sister. I went to the cake tastings. I smiled at the dress fittings. I helped her pick out the imported silk napkins. Every single time she swiped her stolen debit card, I mentally added another felony charge to her record. She was having the time of her life, bragging to all her friends about how rich she was, while I quietly provided the federal police with daily updates. Finally, the big day arrived. It was an absolute spectacle. The country club was covered in thousands of white roses. There was a string quartet playing in the background. 200 guests were seated in expensive mahogany chairs. My parents were crying tears of joy in the front row, looking so proud of their beautiful, successful daughter. I was standing at the altar in my bridesmaid dress. The music swelled. The heavy wooden doors opened. Chloe began walking down the aisle in her $15,000 gown. She looked like a princess. She looked radiant. She made it exactly halfway down the aisle before the music violently stopped. Shh. The string quartet went dead silent. The heavy wooden doors at the back of the venue swung open again, and this time it wasn't a bridesmaid. It was 6 federal agents and 4 local police officers wearing tactical vests. The lead agent marched right down the white silk aisle, stepping directly on the imported flower petals. He walked straight up to Chloe. Chloe Adams? His voice echoed through the massive hall. You are under arrest for 6 counts of federal wire fraud, grand larceny, and aggravated identity theft. The entire venue erupted into chaos. 200 guests gasped at the exact same time. My mother started screaming hysterically. My dad jumped out of his seat, running toward the agents, but a police officer immediately put a hand on his chest and shoved him back. What are you doing? Chloe shrieked, dropping her expensive bouquet. This is a mistake. I'm getting married. Get your hands off me. An agent aggressively spun her around and slapped cold, heavy steel handcuffs over her delicate lace sleeves. The money you used to pay for this venue is stolen property, the agent announced loudly, making sure every single guest in the room heard him. You are looking at 20 years in a federal penitentiary. Chloe looked at me, her eyes wide with absolute terror. Maya, tell them you gave me the money. Tell them. I looked at her, fixing a small wrinkle in my bridesmaid dress. Why would I do that, Chloe? You told me I could always save up more money, and you only get to go to federal prison for the first time once. Enjoy your special day. They dragged her out of the venue, kicking and screaming. Her veil fell off and got trampled by the officer's boots. Her fiance, Ryan, didn't even try to help her. He actually snuck out the back door as soon as the word fraud was mentioned. The aftermath was absolute poetry. Because the money was stolen, my bank's fraud department reversed every single transaction. The $92,000 was completely restored to my account within 2 weeks. But the wedding vendors? They still legally needed to be paid for their services. Since my parents had co signed all of Chloe's vendor contracts as guarantors, the venue, the caterer, and the florist sued my parents for the full $92,000. My parents had to sell their house and empty their retirement accounts just to avoid being sued into bankruptcy. They currently live in a tiny 1 bedroom apartment. Chloe is currently serving a 5 year sentence in a minimum security federal facility. She works in the prison laundry room, making about 12 cents an hour. I finally bought my dream house. I changed my number, moved across the state, and haven't spoken to any of them since the day of the wedding. Have you ever had a sibling who thought they could get away with anything? Let me know your worst family stories in the comments below. And if watching a bridezilla get arrested at the altar made your day, hit that subscribe button for more crazy stories.